Hey everyone, you're right here for CSM Practice, the number one podcast for anything you will ever wanted to know about customer success. And as you know, I'm pretty enamored with health scores and I have hard opinions about what works and what doesn't. But today, I got a guest that's going to challenge everything I know about customer health scores and hopefully completely sets a different mindset around how you think about those two and give you some ideas, tactical advice, and show you what worked for his companies. They were tackling the inherent issues that we sometimes face when we craft up a health score that doesn't work. And with that, Tyler Diderick, thank you so much for joining our show. And maybe we start with you telling us a little bit background about where you work right now, what's your role, and what kind of customers do you guys help?
Yeah, thanks for the kind introduction. I work at a company called Run Zero. I'm the manager of the customer success engineering team. So we primarily focus on like technical engagements with customers and just guiding them through the journey. I would say we probably cover like 80 to 90% of the conversations post sale with customers. So everything from day to day to like QBRs and things like that we run.
Just to give people who are listening to the episode better understanding of your world and your organizational structure, do you have customer success managers as well as CS engineers? And if so, can you share like what's the ratio, how many, what is the difference between the role?
We have account managers and then the customer success engineers. And then our account executives also, in some cases, the way we do it is enterprise accounts, AEs stay on as like the CSM. And then the customer success engineer does most of like the technical implementation and everything. And then for our mid market and down, we have account managers that do all of the renewals and everything. In that business, we have dedicated CSEs in some cases, but a lot of that is also like our scaled tech touch type program that we manage to.
So is it like most of the CS engineers, unless it's a large account, are in a pooled model, would you say, or
Yeah, so
completely
there's four of
local?
us total, and we are directly tied to like 70% of the revenue. So like they have a named customer success engineer, and then the other 30% we handle with a pooled model. Yeah.
A pooled model. So nobody has a true tech touch.
It's a tech touch, but they can also meet with us live too. So for any customer under a certain revenue, we will just have like some tech touches and it will offer them to book a session with someone. Most of the time, they're just good to go. They use documentation, things like that. But sometimes people will decide to book a meeting. So it's mostly tech touch in those small accounts, but some people also do choose to book a live session.
Sounds like you have more than a handful of customers.
Yeah, we have over 500 customers.
When you came in and said, Eri, I want to talk about health scores, can you give us a little bit of a background around is it a health score for your higher touch model, or are you going to talk about health scores for all the different customer segments and engagement models that your company has?
Yeah, so we use it across the board. We have a lot of proactive red account type engagement for our low touch customers. So we have what we call like the red account save, which is a series of emails that just tries to get people pointed in the right direction that we know are struggling based on their health score. But then as we work up into the accounts with like a dedicated customer success engineer and things like that, people will use the health scores in order to do like live customer health reviews with customers. So we can say, hey, this is what your health score looks like. These are the things that are red, yellow, and green. We usually just say, these are green and these are yellow. I had a customer success engineer say, like, I don't ever want to say anything's red. It's an opportunity. So it's just yellow. We use it at all of the different phases from like our techish touch all the way up to our $1 million accounts.
Okay, so before we go into how it's structured and the how to and the permutation of that, if there are any, I just wanted to ask, do you have the same health score for all the segments, or do you have permutations of the health score based on industry, segment, or it works so that it's just the same?
Yeah, it's all the same, except there's one big factor. So we have an account sentiment value that can be updated by the account team. So that's only going to get set by like people that are working directly with the larger accounts. That can essentially either boost the score up if we know the health score itself is not telling the whole story, or it can like plummet the score if they mark it red because maybe a champion left. And then like, I know the usage looks great, but we know there's something bad happening here and we need to look out for it. So it's all the same besides that sentiment, which is usually only used at like the higher revenue accounts.
Super clear. All the same, except for this manual ability to say, is it red? Kind of change it up and have the ability so that an account doesn't look like it's in the red.
Yeah, I learned that trick at the first company I was at that did health scoring well from at Sumo Logic. It's really impactful because usually they can move it up to 20 points either way. And that can put it properly from like green to yellow or yellow to red and vice versa.
When you first join your company and you didn't have the current version of the health score, what were some of the challenges that the team was dealing with?
So I was the first customer success person to join the company. I mean, we didn't even have account managers at that time. So it was just kind of Wild West, which was about 2 years ago. And things have evolved a lot since then. We were basically flying blind in every account. Outside of people we were directly talking to on a week to week basis, there was no idea outside of you would have to go like manually look in like our internal database and try to like see what was visible there. It was not much, just like their utilization percentage. Beyond that, you'd have to like actually log in and start like poking around to identify if they were actually getting good value. There wasn't much you could do. It was very manual and not easy to work with.
Manual, time consuming, and sounds like almost ineffective.
Yeah, at a young startup, you almost don't expect those things. But we had a few hundred accounts already at that point. So this company just grew fast. Health scoring ended up being critical for us to scale our program.
Yes, I assume you kind of dealt with that for a while. And you were thinking, what? Well, if we don't do something about it, what do you think would have happened to the company? What would be the impact?
We would definitely churn more revenue today. We would just continue to keep churning revenue. And also, I think more importantly, like not being able to forecast churn is a lot more painful because maybe you can't save it. Like maybe it's red and it's just like it's too far gone. At least you know, usually like 6 months ahead of time that that's coming. It just gives you visibility into what the future looks like, but also it allows you to make playbooks and be proactive within accounts and actually save revenue. So we have some automated ways to some red playbook saves, and then also we'll do higher touch things based on how much revenue the account is. So I couldn't even put a number on how much revenue we've saved with the health scores at this point.
So it's been a year and a half. If you think about your early days versus now, what is the big difference that you see in the company, in clients, in the CSM or CS engineering team, or even like in the sales team, the account managers and the AEs? What are some of the big differences you see in the organization overall?
Directly thinking about health scoring, we have programs that we have in place now directly related to this. So we have a monthly red account review where we actually talk about any account that's still red, that's over 10K in ARR, that is the renewal comes up in the next 6 months. So this is where I was saying getting proactive and using this to be proactive in the right places has been really impactful. In terms of like metrics tracking, we've evolved there as well. I think one of the most interesting metrics is renewal rate by health score, because that unlocks some other key aspects of health scoring. Like, one, does this health score actually work? Are my green accounts renewing at a lot higher rate than my red accounts? So it allows you to fine tune it and then also be able to actually forecast churn and things like that, which no one wants to churn, but it's better to know it's coming than to get blindsided by it.
So it sounds like not just the CS engineering, but everybody involved in renewals have a better handle on the renewal forecast. They're way more proactive around mitigating renewal risk. And almost sounds like there's a bit of sense of what we're going to do about each account. And you guys are way more proactive about it. Overall, do you see the renewal spiked? Is your gross retention rate higher now?
It's gone up a little bit, I would say, in the larger accounts where we're putting the bigger emphasis on it.
Maybe we can break that down. You can share a little bit about what is included in your health score.
Our health score is utilization rate. So I think this is critical to any health score, like how much of their license are they using? For us, there's a few product things like, so scanning your network is very important to us. So like, are you consistently running scans? Are you using, we have an asset inventory. So are they using the asset inventory? How often users are logging in and how many are logging in on a regular basis? How many integrations they're using? The TLDR is basically, how do you make people pay for this and how much of that are they using? How much are people logging in? And then in order to achieve like the outcome that you're selling, what are the different features that are already key there? You have to take that and balance it in a way that makes sense. I find it always easiest just to put it on a score from 0 to 100 and break whatever those things up are into just chunks like that. And then we have the account sentiment too, which we were talking about before. That allows us to have a little bit of manual control over what's mostly automated.
Do you find that as a CS engineering team using this new health score, do they find that their job is easier to just have these type of conversations with customers around what needs to happen next?
I mean, it definitely unlocks easy wins for customers. So if I go into an account and I see they have like one integration running, it's usually pretty easy to go in with these other integrations would unlock these three outcomes for you. Like, what do you think about those? So we use success outcomes to drive most of our conversations with customers. And so we sort of have like a menu of outcomes, like here's all the cool stuff you can do and like sort of the key results there. So most of the health scoring ties back into that. So if your utilization's low, hey, there's these other things that you can do to get to take advantage of what you're already paying for. And it would also help you get more out of the tool.
So it almost sounds like besides utilization and integration, in an ideal world, you would track what are the outcomes that are relevant for the customer, which outcomes are a priority for this customer, and then for each outcome, are they using the features, the integrations, and the frequency that we're expecting them? And if not, we're going to have a conversation about it.
Yeah, you're 100% spot on. I mean, the outcomes and the health scores are just like BFFs. It makes it easy to tell a story in terms of what you could be doing to better accomplish those outcomes.
Got it. Well, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but do you have an example that you can share?
If you want to see the full interview and get access to secret scenes, you need to sign up for my exclusive Mastermind program, The Customer Method, and get instant access. I created the Customer Method to give you all the strategies, playbooks, tools, and the support you'll need in order to take your customer success practice within your own organization to the next level. And there's never been a better time than now to step up your business customer success game. So go ahead, check out the description below on how to join us, and I'll see you on the inside.
Any tips if you had to do it all over again, or somebody's listening here is like, oh gosh, we got to do something like that. Where do you start? What are like the things that absolutely they need to keep in mind?
The number one thing, which you kind of alluded to actually earlier, is to get buy-in from other people within the organization before you even try to do this. If you don't have buy-in from product, you're never going to get the data you need. If you don't have buy-in from like sales, whoever your leadership is, like a go-to-market side, you're never going to have the sway you need to get everyone kind of rowing in the same direction there. Another recommendation I would have is don't be scared to do this like semi-manually at first before you start making requests. To think like, what accounts do I think are green, yellow, and red? What does their data look like as a way to kind of like benchmark how you might want to do your scoring and things like that.
What podcast do you love listening to these days?
Yeah, so I listen to a few. One is a golf podcast called No Laying Up, but we're talking a small subset of people maybe that actually enjoy golf that might see this. One that I think is everyone should check out is Trevor Noah's podcast. It's like halfway through the first season or so. It's newer within the past year. He has a lot of awesome guests on there. And then the writers that he has on, or comedians, are always fun to listen to. They just talk about current events and things like that.
Customer success resources that are a big favorite for you?
Yeah, my favorite book is The Outcome Generation. And that's where the whole idea for success outcomes actually came from. I read it a couple of years ago and I basically plagiarized everything in that book. And that's how you saw that success plan template. That gave a lot of good exercises for us and I'd highly recommend it.
Listen, this was such a fantastic conversation. I learned a lot. You were super generous sharing what you guys do, how was impactful for you? I mean, golly, 30% was it increase in probability of renewal if the health score was green? You know, you did something right.
One other resource too, I just recently published this. It's Building Customer Success from Scratch playbook. So I can link out to that too. But there's a section in there on health scoring and like a step by step how to do it. And it's got like note templates and like questions to be asking and all of the different things that you would need to do. So I can
Oh,
share that with
wow.
you as well.
Yeah, definitely share it with me. I'm also going to promote it on my mastermind program. I recently launched it, so you're welcome to check it out. Shameless plug. It is designed to build a best in class customer success practice in your own organization. So we'll be sure to also share that with them with full credit to you, obviously. This
Awesome.
was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and taking the time to share your experience and successes with everybody else so that everybody can get better at what they do.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Aaron. It was fun.
All right. And with that, it's a wrap. Big love from me. I'll see you in the next episode.